found that one of the most famous quotes from Neil Armstrong is actually a misquote.
What's the quote?
The first thing he says when he gets on the moon is actually, the real version is one small step for WAM, a giant leap for WAMkind.
I did actually think I remember reading that somewhere. Anyway, welcome to WAM.
Every time we do the intro, I feel stupid, and I think that's the best part.
Well, yeah, if we don't feel a little silly, it's not right.
You have to crush your confidence before you go into this.
Exactly. It's part of it, really.
Yeah.
But welcome to WAM, episode 12. This week we watched The Martian, the 2015 movie. For some reason, I thought this was 2018, but
nah,
it was 8 years ago. It was a while.
This is like, yeah, I always saw 2015 because I definitely know this is Matt Damon. That's sort of like in between his modes, because he gets more action-y a little bit after this, but he was always like the more charismatic Leo DiCaprio, I guess, competitor before this. So this is like the middle point in his career.
I don't know if it's the middle point.
No, not the middle point.
Pretty huge, but like
it's like the change from caterpillar to butterfly. His cocoon era.
Metamorphosis, you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right. Sure.
I'm right.
Whatever you want.
Right.
Man. This movie was directed by Ridley Scott. Who was also a co-producer on Blade Runner, which is kind of cool.
Wait.
What?
No. I want you to. You said he was a co-producer on Blade Runner?
Yeah.
He directed the first one.
Oh,
he's the director of Blade Runner.
IMDb just says co-producer.
Yeah, they list producing first off for some reason.
That's so stupid.
He made, I think he made Aliens, the second Alien movie. Yeah. He made Blade Runner, and then he also made House of Gucci, which sucks.
I didn't know House of Gucci, but I knew Aliens. I didn't know Blade Runner.
He's a good director.
Yeah. But it had pretty good reviews when it first came. Great reviews when it first came out. It had like, I think it was like an 80 or whatever.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Overall, it is a little bit longer of a runtime. I watched the normal cut and Nolan watched the extended cut, which has about 10 or 11 minutes, or something like that. Just more content, so just a few more scenes, like showing more kind of emotion and stuff. But besides that, we don't think there was too big of a difference where we like experience different movies. But
no,
if we notice anything different, we'll definitely talk about the differences.
Yeah.
But how do we start the movie off?
Well, for me, I started it off in the DVD menu, and
it's a stupid DVD menu. It's like bad, like 2008, like it's like you're looking through Iron Man's mask. That's what the DVD menu looks like.
Well, I really liked it because I thought all the shots were pretty that they were showing, and this was one of the first times that I've watched a high definition movie, or just like a movie I thought was like, I guess, high quality. I've been stuck on a small TV for everything I'm watching, and I've been stuck on streaming. And I've just recently noticed how big of a difference it is between Blu-ray and streaming, because streaming just kills any quality that a movie has.
Not always, but Blu-ray, you're getting that 1080p consistently. You don't have to worry about anything like that, your frame rate or anything like that.
I watched it on a big TV. It was beautiful. I loved it.
Big TV. Yeah, it is a very beautiful movie. I mean, with I'd like to see how much of it was a physical set and how much was green screened in.
That's what I was thinking the whole time too.
Because like they could just be in a fucking desert and then have just like color corrected it a little bit, but I think that would have fucked up with Matt Damon's face.
There are some orange deserts. I know they do exist, but they're hard to come by.
Orange though.
Yeah, you're right. Not that orange.
That was silly orange. But at the beginning of the movie, we're doing astronaut things on Mars. Our crew is out there, and then there's this big storm that's coming through that fucks everything up. And when this big storm's happening, they're all walking through with lights and they're like shouting over the radio comms, even though they have radios. I don't know why they're shouting. But the only thing I was thinking through the whole scene is like, there's just raw footage of these actors in spacesuits on like a soundstage, just like screaming in their little bowls, like, that's so fucking funny to me.
That is funny. Oh man. Yeah, sandstorms on or just storms in general on Mars are literally no joke. I've done
Well, they're not that as powerful. It's one thing I did see when I was
mm,
researching is that
really?
one inconsistency in the movie that has with real life is that the storms on Mars are not nearly as powerful as they are in the movie and nowhere nearly as
Hmm.
strong to throw large rocks or tip a spaceship over.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, you're probably right. I was
There's a
relying on
there's a lot of dust and stuff, but it's not like really, really strong wind.
Okay. I was just relying on some footage I saw, the documentary Goodnight Oppie, which is sort of a documentary about one of the rovers on Mars. There was just a shit ton of stuff with storms on that, but that's dealing with like technology and literally the problem just being sand could get into the hardware and fuck it up.
Yeah,
Not
it's
like
the
our
same problem we
spaceship's
have
gonna topple.
with the Samsung the Fold. It's the same problem we have with that. We just get sand in all the hinges and everything. We just
I
really haven't fixed that yet.
I saw someone break a Samsung Fold in front of me.
Oh,
He
like recently?
Yeah, when I was with my, friend Casey, we were driving down to a film festival. I saw him flip his phone out, and he heard a crack, and he opened it back up, and the seams in between it were a little broken, so he immediately called Samsung for, like, a good 30 minutes, just like, "Why did this happen? Can I get a new phone? Why did this happen?"
Yeah, I would be upset too if my phone just decided to bust a little bit.
The
Um,
Samsung Fold was not a good idea.
I think it's a really cool idea. We just can't do like folding hinges and screens like that too good yet. I like the Motorola, whatever the Z Flip. I think that's really clean. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, not the tech review podcast. That's next week. Um, so the whole intro at the beginning, we don't have a like this is Matt. He's an astronaut. They are on Mars. We're just into it. They're just doing their
Yeah.
thing, and then the storm comes in. He's stranded,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of right off the bat. We don't have to sit through any like okay, this is his training. He's getting ready to go on Mars. He's like saying goodbye to his family.
Yeah,
We're
no.
just there already. And I think that's really, really good because I hate intros. And I think we've
Yeah.
said that for so many movies.
I mean, this doesn't have exposition. It relies on what we know, and it just assumes that we're automatically going to connect with this character, and we do,
Hmm.
because this is like one of the best premises that has ever come out of Hollywood. Like the idea of literally just having someone on this mission and like explaining how you're going to save someone stuck on Mars is like a great idea to have.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, you have this. I mean, I think it was a book originally, but either way,
oh,
you have
really?
this. Yeah, I think so. I'm not.
Wow.
I, I think there's something about there's a different ending than in
Mm.
the book than
Oh, okay.
in the movie or something like that. But I
And
don't know.
before it was a book,
Um,
it was Saving Private Ryan.
yeah, that was way before. And before that, it was Citizen Kane actually.
I don't
Um,
think I don't see the connection.
um, but fuck. Oh yeah. Um, so in this, I think a really big reason we connect with him so much is that this is a really heavy idea and a really heavy topic.
Mhm.
But through the whole movie, there's really no, or at least in my cut, there was no big definitive moment where he really like broke down like I'm gonna die here or whatever, like crying. We had a few moments where like he had like anger and fear and like sadness
Mhm.
all kind of explode out at once a little bit, but there was never a huge big momentous thing. And him always having that element of comedy to keep himself happy, and then him
Yeah.
just doing shit to keep himself entertained, in turn
Mhm.
entertains the audience and gets us closer to him because we're like, oh, that's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Um,
I have to
yeah.
agree. He keeps a pretty lightheaded mood throughout all of it. There are definitely scenes where he's breaking out.
Mhm.
Small moments, never anything where he's given up. It's always moments where he's afraid.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of the most diverse in areas of emotion roles that Matt Damon has ever had. He shows a lot of different
Yeah.
emotions in this.
He shows a lot of emotion and he does it in a very human way. It's not a very movie crying like we'll touch on this again later. Like at the end when he starts to like tear up when he's leaving the planet,
Mhm.
it's not he's not bawling. He's not thank you guys so much. He's very calm and professional and quietly crying to himself like
Yeah.
excited he's
He's a
finally
man.
leaving. And that's he's a man. And that's really strong for the character. And what I was
Mhm.
gonna say before is that this idea of just getting a person, putting them way out in isolation, and then we have to save them. This movie is just taking that concept to the extreme, where they are literally like what they say 55,000 miles or million whatever away, um
Yeah.
however fucking far Mars is,
It's,
and so
I
they take
think,
that concept to
12
the
light
extreme. Yeah,
seconds. No,
yeah, whatever
12
that
light
is.
minutes.
I mean, I could time it later, um, but yeah, so then we're stuck here with him. He gets onto these video logs where he organizes them very scientifically, I'll say. Like, he
Yeah.
wakes up, he's impaled, he takes that out, and this whole time he's very, very calm. He's just kind of walking, he's still in shock, obviously. And the reality of the situation doesn't set in for him until he's sitting down doing a video log, just like they normally would on the ship. And he says,
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna run out of food in X amount of days, and if not, then I'm gonna run out of air, and if not, then I'm gonna run out of water. And then he kind of sits back in his chair like fuck. And at that
Mhm.
moment, it really, you can see it all hit him. And there's just a lot of bits like that in this movie where it
Yeah.
doesn't expressly spell it out for you, but as a human being, you can see he's dealing with a lot that he's thinking about all the time.
Yeah. Can I say something real quick?
No. So what I was gonna, yeah, go ahead.
You did really good on the delivery for that.
You're welcome.
Um, okay. Now, I'll ask you this afterwards, but in my hand, if I woke up, found out I was marooned on a planet with no one else on it, and I had a harpoon in my suit, I wouldn't get up.
No, I'd take off the mask at that point. I would just take
Mhm.
off my helmet. I
We'd
think that's
both
the
kill
fastest
ourselves.
way. Yeah. No way. Even at the point of, okay, we're gonna, we'll get to that later, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, keep what happens next? He's sticking the planet. He
Yeah.
does those video calls, and then he's like, "Fuck,
Yeah.
we got to deal with food."
Yeah, the first thing he does is deal with food. He immediately thinks, okay, the biggest problem I have right now is that we have a limited food supply. I can try to get the water to last this long. I can try to get the air to last this long, but I only have about 100 days worth of food. So his first thought is, we have Thanksgiving Day potatoes. We have a crap ton of crap. I can start farming. Because what we learn about him in this character, and only at this point, we learn that he's a botanist. He plans, or he is specifically there to look if there's any idea of growing plant life
Yeah,
on
if
Mars.
there's any. And this mission that they went on originally was a 31-day mission, and they had,
Mhm.
for redundancy, they had double that of foods. They had 62 days or 64 days, I think, of food.
Yeah,
Um,
for about 5 people.
yeah, for 5 people. So he does have enough rations for, I think he said, about a year. But then
Well,
he wanted to stretch that to four, and then I don't remember
yeah,
exactly.
I think he lasted 500 days
Yeah,
on
that was total.
Mars.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, what we and I love how they use soul. That's like not a thing that people don't know about. Soul is just how we refer to days on any planet, and a day is just what we consider 24 hours on
I
Earth.
really didn't like that. It annoyed me.
Well,
I
I
understood why they did it, but I was like, "Fuck you."
uh,
And then at the end, when they switched to day one, I was like, "Fuck you." And
I don't
I
know.
was pissed.
I came into this movie being an astronomy nerd. It's like I've taken more astronomy classes at my college than I've taken film classes, and it's something I've really been enjoying, and seeing stuff like Soul and all that. I really liked it. But yeah, the first thing he does is he throws most of the other people's stuff out of the place he lives, which is called the
Yeah.
Hab, and he
Little fun fact for you, that actually stands for habitat. Bet you didn't know that one,
that mean
moviegoers.
wouldn't that be short for habitat? Because that would mean if it was like stood for, it'd be an acronym.
Man, I wish I could, like, strangle you through the computer. I can't really comprehend, like, how bad.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he mixes a lot of things together. He mixes poop, dirt, and water, and he makes some good soil mud. He
Yeah.
starts planting on the potatoes, but before he does that, do you remember what happens?
I mean, before he plants the
Before
potatoes, no, I don't remember what happened. I remember he set up he set up a whole enclosure inside of the habitat where he got
Yeah.
the Mars dirt and put up a big tarp and everything.
Mhm.
Um, But no, what happened?
Well, when he's setting up that tarp, he realizes, hey, the biggest problem I'm going to have is I'm going to have to share water with these potatoes and myself.
Oh, true. Yeah,
So, so
he does all the math.
yeah, so he goes, okay, I'm going to get this fuel and I'm going to burn it a specific way in which it's going to decompose, not decompose, but deconstruct the molecules it currently is and turn into water. So when he's setting that up, he he starts burning the stuff in the water vapor, and when he does, he's really excited, and he breathes a little bit too hard next to the fire, and he sets off a chain reaction because of his air, and the whole thing explodes.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. My
Yeah.
favorite thing is when he went back to the camera, he was still smoking.
Yeah, he was smoldering when he was and just, like, kinda limping, so I blew myself up, and it's stuff like that's what I was talking about, man, like, the comedic timing of this movie.
Oh, it's so
In the
good.
IMDb page, it was an action comedy,
Mhm,
and I think
mhm.
that really makes sense for this movie because there are so many moments like that where really just Matt Damon sells
Yeah,
it, where it's just he exactly you know, you're home by yourself, you singing as loud as
yeah.
you want, being a fucking idiot because no one else is there, and that's what he's
Mhm.
doing the whole time, and we just get a window into that, and it puts so much personality into this movie
That's
and makes
awesome.
that long runtime fly by.
I imagine it was also listed as a sci-fi, was it not?
Yeah.
What I really liked about this movie is it's not far-fetched at all.
Mm-mm.
There's almost no technology on it that's, like, new. We've
No.
all established it. The only thing that's new, but it's very accurate, is well, accurate to what I know in, astrophysics, is the not the Hermes, but the thing they attach the Hermes to. No, that is the Hermes, never mind.
The big space station?
Yeah, the one that has all the turn-in things?
Well, I don't think that artificial gravity, I don't think that's real.
Well, okay, what
I think the concept is, like, they're just they have their own little orbit, but I don't know if we've, like, gotten that to work yet.
no, the concept behind that is actually the idea, that you can change, gravity and acceleration, and they're basically the same thing. So
Well,
if you have
it's
it
like those carnival rides, yeah, but I don't think we've gotten that to work is what I'm saying.
um,
Because in the
we
space station videos, like, with that guy with the mustache who plays guitar, he was always floating.
yeah, the International Space Station doesn't have a circular system to it, I don't think. What I know about, that sort of circular thing is a lot of people have speculated that just because we can replace acceleration, something like that where it's at a circular orbit, if it keeps a steady rate, just because of circular orbit, it'll stay the same. Uh, Obviously, there's probably going to be someone that emails us and says, "You guys are idiots. That's not true at all."
It'll be David, yeah. For those of you who don't know, or I guess if David doesn't know, David is our super fan of
Yeah,
WAM.
the only
He's
person who's listened to every episode.
every episode, day one, always reposts us on our socials. Follow the WAM socials, by the way.
Yeah,
Plugged on our Spotify page. Um, but shout out David.
shout out
Anyway,
David.
there it says the only known way to create artificial gravity is to supply a force on an astronaut that produces the same acceleration.
Boom.
With it can be done with bungee cords, body restraints, or spinning it fast enough. I haven't seen people do the spinning thing though. I thought that was only movies.
I mean, that's where they base it off of. The big idea is we don't have any reason to be creating gravity. It's going to be really expensive to do so.
Yeah, but
Get
like it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Having it on Mars is really efficient just because we need something that doesn't stop bone degrowth,
Is
especially
Mars is the gravity like weaker there? Would we
not
float in Mars?
gravity is
Or
pretty similar there. I think it's similar enough to where we don't experience a huge shift. It's definitely stronger than the moon's.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, for just such a long distance, you would need some sort of artificial gravity. They definitely need their workout stuff, which they actually have on the Hermes.
Yeah, the like all the treadmills and stuff to keep their bone and muscle density up because in space
Yeah.
you don't be using that. But
Mhm.
so the team after Matt starts growing potatoes has a little accident, but everything's still kind of set, and he fixes it and he like gets his potatoes growing and they're all good.
Mhm.
And the team at this point, his previous team that left him on Mars, doesn't know that he's alive. They
No,
think that he's dead, and they left him there. And now NASA is starting to realize that there's
he's
activity
alive.
happening, and he's
Mhm.
still alive. And they
Yeah.
start making things to try to make contact. And then Matt Damon, Watney, ends up getting a what is it? Is it a probe?
A rover, one of the old
Yeah, a rover.
rovers.
From what 1993, I think he said.
Yep.
Where they use that and then a replica back on Earth to communicate back and forth, and
Yeah.
eventually they patch that into his little whatever, his rover,
Mhm.
and then he can have a little like text chat like it's AOL.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh
what if he's like, "What are you wearing?"
I love how when the director of NASA first finds out he's alive, you can tell he's pissed.
I
He
would be,
doesn't
yeah, they
want
were.
to be.
They
Um,
were mad. They were like, "Do you understand the situation we have in our hands?
this is
Okay,
the
hey guys,
worst
it's
thing that could have
NASA."
happened.
Yeah, it is a really bad PR move if you can't get him back.
Yeah. My favorite thing is, I mean, he's angry when he's, like, in the room finding it out. He's angrier at the press meeting
Mhm.
when he's just like, "Okay, so, what are your plans to save him?" And then he just says, "I don't know."
We're working on it. I don't know. Are you gonna resign? No.
No. That was so good. This
It
really
was
is a
good.
great comedic movie.
Yeah. So they start communicating with him. Matt starts doing some more potato math and then starts planning out to survive long enough until NASA can drop some food to him on Mars, and then he can meet up with the next mission in a crater that's he'd have to like travel to. Um,
Mhm.
and so that's the plan. In like 4 or 5 years, he'll get rescued and taken back to Earth when that mission gets there.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, what happens next?
Well,
No one.
I'm looking through my notes right now.
Yeah, you better.
Well, we start seeing that this whole plan is going good, roughly. I mean, what's really at issue here is if NASA can get this stuff done
Mhm.
at the next window.
Yeah.
Uh, because obviously, since we're all orbiting around the sun, it's completely different when we're going to be close to Mars, depending on our own cycle and its.
Yeah, there is a quite literal window of time where we can get through
Yeah.
and get to Mars. That's not like incredibly long. It just wouldn't make sense anymore to go this way, kind of thing.
Mhm. Um, I think what we start really learning right now. Well, no, isn't this when the first thing that happens around this time is the air duct blows up, isn't it? We have we have him at the hab and he's opening the door.
That's the next major thing that happens. Yeah, after they get that communication all set up.
Once he gets communication set up, and I love when they first have him set up the wires inside of the not the rover, but his little transportation vehicle.
Hmm.
The idea that, like, they keep asking his character Mark, "Please stop cursing. Everyone in the world is watching you
Yeah, and
do
then he
these."
insulted. I guess it would have been. Would it be Trump at the, or would it be Obama?
Did he insult the president? I mean,
Yeah, because
2015, that would be Obama,
yeah,
if we're
because
thinking that this is normal time and not in the future.
well, immediately after yeah, he does insult the president because he's like, you know what, and then you hear everyone go like, oh, and then later the director at NASA is like apologizing, and he's like, yes sir, he didn't mean it, okay, yes Mr. President. It's
I
like,
don't know if he was insulting the president or if it's more just the president like,
uh,
"Hey, get your guy to get his shit together."
I was just hoping he just decided like, you know what, and just like
You know what?
okay,
I
take it in.
hate Obama.
Yeah, and the president was like, dude, what the fuck, get your guy.
Why was I involved?
What the fuck did I do? Yeah, exactly. That was funny to me. And then the whole thing where at NASA they're trying to break it down and get a plan to see when they're going to be able to get a ship there and get him
Mhm.
back, and trying to get all the numbers for that setup.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, this guy's only going to survive X amount of days, and that's if nothing goes wrong.
Then
And then fucking big ass explosion.
yeah, his,
Yeah,
it wasn't necessarily one of the worst things. It was
no,
just
well,
one of the caps
it
sort
was
of.
one of the worst things. It was pretty bad.
Oh, wait. Was this okay, I might have split this into 2 incidents when it's only really 1. Is this the incident where, is this the incident where the entire, like, potato farm dies?
Yeah, he blows off the whole
Oh
thing
my
in the head
god.
and he goes flying.
You're right. I thought
Yeah.
that he blew up a small thing and then another thing blew up later.
No, no, no. The little explosion happens where he
Yeah,
goes,
yeah, yeah.
"Woo!" and then like blows up, and then
Okay, then
when
this
he's
happens.
smoldering, and then later on, after they get that communication stuff all set up, and he's
Mhm.
surviving for a little more, And he kind of this whole time he's working up to packing and moving to that other site
Yeah, to
later in the
the
year. That's his
s
goal right now. Um,
Snuffleupagus crater.
yeah, to the Snuffleupagus crater. It's the technical name. Um, so every time we're skipping through this stuff, there is a lot of there's a good amount that we are skipping through the movie, but
Mhm,
it is just him surviving and not necessarily a big story moment, but just more a bigger character moment, and that's why you got to watch the
mhm.
movie. But um, yeah, so all that stuff explodes, and then the hatch goes flying, and the whole habitat decompresses, and the potato farm, like his food, whatever, everything he's had set up
Everything dies.
goes fucking and like any food he did have in there like turned to ash for like sub-zero temperatures and like the vacuum like just ripping it apart.
I think
um
food stayed edible, it's
yeah,
just everything that would have it continue living and growing
yeah,
completely died off.
he
So
now
it's
had no strong shelter besides the car, and
Mhm.
no source of food, but he still had his stockpile from before.
Yeah, and my favorite part of that experience, and this is, I guess, not comedic. They could have obviously been comedic, but they treated it very importantly. He fixes the hab later, with tarp and duct tape. He just puts that over the hole, and, like, there's a small storm that happens, and you could just hear that tarp blowing in the wind, and he's sort of just, like, crying in a corner, like, "This might be where I die. It might just blow off and I die right here a horrible
Yeah,
death."
he's sitting there trying to count the potatoes he has left and like taking stock, and he can't count because just the sound of it, and I'm assuming PTSD of him being like sucked out of the airlock and launched.
Mhm.
Um, and also just the reality of there's like a thin sheet of plastic and duct tape or
Keeping
aluminum
me
foil.
alive.
Yeah. So you can see him literally flinching at the wind and stuff, which is a really
Mhm.
good touch because he's never, like I said before, he's never scared. He's always just has an attitude of okay, and they kind of all have this attitude of okay, let's work this problem, like don't really give up, like okay, let's see where we have to go from now. And that is an underlying idea that all the characters have and hold on to throughout
Mhm.
this movie.
Yeah. And then right after this, we get the best part of the movie.
Hmm.
Donald Glover appears on screen.
No, 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 no. You're
What?
forgetting a very important part.
Oh, what did I forget?
It has been 7 days since I ran out of ketchup.
Oh, yeah. That's a good line. That's a
It's
really
a
good
really good
line.
line. He dips his potatoes in Vicodin because he ran out of ketchup.
What is Vicodin again?
I don't know. It's a pill that do something, probably a painkiller.
Mm.
But yeah, and then what's his real name? Childish Camp. What's his?
I just said it, Donald Glover.
Oh, that I can never remember it. I don't know why. But yeah, as soon as he walked in, I was like, oh my god, no one's gonna shit himself.
I shat myself.
I know.
I shat myself.
I did it. I did it.
Don't worry, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just sort of like a miscellaneous employee at NASA that's specifically dealing with satellite coverage because they're trying to plan the Shen mission, basically. And I really like this part. China is loaning one of their spaceships to NASA that they have ready, saying, "Hey, if you want to get supplies on this to send to your guy stuck on Mars, we'll give it to you." And I really like that because it makes it seem like it's literally the whole world helping Mark.
And when this movie did come out, there were some interviews about like the Chinese reception for the movie with
Mhm.
the United States and America working together because I think there are currently treaties like preventing us from doing that. That's just like
Oh,
a straight up
damn.
like China and the US cannot like collaborate or something like that. Or at least that's what I got off like one of those Google quick answer things. But
Yeah.
either way, the reception in China was also they were really happy to see like the US and China working together in a thing like
Mhm.
that. And I do agree, like you do get this sensation that everyone in the world is watching
Yeah.
and kind of rooting for him. And this whole time still while they're getting everything in like planned, the crew doesn't know still that's in space currently coming back to Earth.
Mhm.
And so at this point, they're left with a choice where they told is his name Matt in the movie too? Yeah, I guess it is.
Well,
Um,
what? No, his name is Mark.
or Mark, yeah. They told Mark that
Mark Watney.
the crew doesn't know, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Literally, what the fuck? And he's like, "Do you think he's like what the fuck or like what the fuck?" But uh, But so then they end up having to tell the crew, and all of them are pretty equally devastated that they left him. Mostly the commander,
Mhm.
which he's just like, "I left
Johansson.
him. I left him." Yeah, Hanson, who has horrible taste in disco music that Mike's forced to listen to. Matt, some would say.
That none of them are that's not either of his names, it's Mark.
Fuck. Damn it. Got Matt Damon in this movie.
Matt
That's what I
Damon.
mean. You know what I'm talking about. Mike
Yeah.
Wazowski. Um, but so then they're all kind of faced with this decision of do we want to help them with this plan that Childish Gambino uh, fucking
Well, yeah, do you wanna talk about the plan real quick?
well, yeah, I'm gonna go into it. Asshole. Yeah, bitch. But they're forced with this decision of do we want to go and help this plan and add an extra, like, I think it's like almost 2 years to our mission or something like that.
I think it was, like, 519, souls or days.
Yeah, something like that, whatever.
You can't have
A,
souls on a
a lot of fucking
spacecraft.
time. None of those. Um, and then yeah, Childish Gambino comes up with this plan where he's like sleeping in his office. He's like, it almost be easier to. And then he grabs a muffin and runs back into his office like a little goblin.
He
And
falls
take us
over.
through. Yeah, it falls back over. He
That
slips.
was real.
That's funny. Um, he slips on his coffee. It's like a bit. That was real.
Yeah, no, he literally just kept character,
It's
said,
like,
"I'm good." To the director, he said, "I'm good." And then he just, runs off.
that's funny. Um, but yeah, so run us through his little explanation that he does
Yeah.
at NASA.
So, what he says is, if you send, the Shen to, Mark Watney with the supplies now, and you just hope he gets on the next mission to Mars when that happens, you're gonna be really, really iffy, especially since our first attempt to send over supplies blew up. Um,
Mhm.
what's gonna be really good for you is if we keep accelerating the Hermes, which is on its path back to Earth, we could have it slingshot around Earth with its gravity and have it sent back to Mars. We can have him take the ship that's prepared for the next trip to Mars, and we can have him send that up into the sky, connect with the Hermes, and then we'll go back to Earth. The
Yeah,
only problem with that is you'd be risking the lives of of what, four people to
yeah.
save one person.
And they're all and they have to like carry that weight or whatever if you're even gonna get the food up to them or if
Mhm.
there's a lot of points where the mission could go completely wrong.
Yeah.
Um And one thing about when he does that whole explanation in the office, he like uses two people to explain the slingshot thing. Yeah, he makes rocket ship noises. Like the first time he did it, I'm like, okay, he's very silly, haha. And then he keeps doing it the entire explanation and makes like, and I was like, all right, man, stop. Like I was annoyed by the end of it just because of the noises.
His character is great. My favorite part about
Oh,
him being
his
on
character's
screen.
fine, but
Yeah,
he's not
yeah.
that stupid, man.
He's
He just told you how to save an astronaut's life, and
my
then you
favorite.
do
There are two great parts with him in it, and this is really the only time you see him. After this, he's never shown again.
Yeah.
In the credits, he does.
Mhm.
But there's the one bit where he's plugging the calculations to see if this is even possible, and he's in the big in the big computer room. Uh, do they show that in your cut?
Yeah, it just says calculations correct.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
It's really stupid.
No computer
Calculations
does that.
correct. I had to plug into the supercomputer to find out, man.
And then I love the bit where when he's doing the demonstration, he goes over to one guy and he says, I'm gonna use you as an example of Mars. What's your name again?" And he just goes, "My name's Ted. I'm the director of NASA." And he
Yeah,
goes, "Hey Ted, can you hold this for me?"
yeah, your Earth. Yeah, it's kind of a funny interaction, but just the noises. I was like, he's not that dumb, man. But also, when they're setting up this plan at the hour and 31-minute mark, you don't have to look it up. He was the original salesman in Vivarium. He was the one that took them to the house and everything. It was him. He was there. Um,
Oh my god.
I know I can't get away, but I wrote that down. Uh, um, but yeah, so they get that plan and they decide the whole team up on the what is it, the Orion? What's
The
the space
Orion.
station?
This Are you referring to what they're traveling on? They're traveling on the
Yeah,
Hermes.
the Hermes. On the Hermes, the whole crew is like down for it. They all agree.
Mhm.
And so they go through with the plan, slingshot around Earth, get the supplies, and they're en route back to Matt. And then I guess they tell him, yeah. And then I forget
Mhm.
what changes about his plan. Was it
Um,
just because was the ship he had to go to now to meet up with the Hermes? Was that at the original site he was gonna go to in like 3 years?
yes, it was. The only thing
Okay.
is that he has to do it a lot faster. He has to figure out a lot more plans for it, and,
Mm.
the biggest thing is he's going to have to find a way to get, that specific ship to launch into the air to meet the Hermes when it was not supposed to, be able to
Oh
launch
yeah,
that much.
yeah. Because it's not meant to go go
That
all the
far
way
into
out of
orbit.
the atmosphere. Yeah.
Because the
Um.
Hermes, I mean, really what that's supposed to happen is they're not trying to lose any momentum, so they're not even getting close to the atmosphere.
Yeah. No. So their eventual solution to this is we're going to eject like these two panels, all the
Mhm.
windows, all the other seats, the flight controls, the radio comms, and you know what? It's just a little too heavy, so we're gonna take off the nose cone too. And then anything else stored on board, just chuck it out the back, really. And so you are gonna be in a spaceship that's open at the top. We're just gonna put a tarp over that. It should be okay. So yeah, we'll see you in a few days, bud.
It's still really funny. I really like his line when he's thinking about this where he goes, "They're sending me up to space in a convertible."
Mm-hmm. Dude, wait! I don't think I heard that line.
Is that something maybe I have?
Yeah, maybe. I didn't hear that line. I didn't hear any riffs on him doing it. He was just kind of
Well,
scared.
did he ever say the line, this is one of the best lines from it, he goes, "What they're telling me at NASA is I'm gonna be the fastest person in
Oh,
space
yeah.
travel
I
ever."
did see that, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also Captain Blondebeard.
Clapton Bond
His
yeah,
wife requested to be called.
because, maritime law and space. I
Yeah, so
love how
he explained it.
I love how the nerd hears that he wants to be called Captain Blondebeard, and he goes, "You know, actually," and then the girl
Mars
just goes,
is Mercury.
I've already heard that already."
Yeah, he already explained to us. She's like, "Please stop. Don't."
Uh,
Yeah, so like I said, it's this movie is genuinely really funny, but it is a really heavy concept. Like the
mhm.
idea is a man being left behind and stranded on Mars with almost no food or like hope of getting back.
Yeah, it's about
But we're
perseverance.
laughing because he's like, I want to be called Captain Blondebeard. It's really good. It helps the
Yeah.
movie a lot.
Uh, um, uh, do you okay, I don't remember the context in which I wrote it down, but I have it in here that I really like the oh, no, I remember it now. Um, it's when, I think it's when the director of NASA is launching this Shen missile to get to the Hermes,
Mhm.
where all the food is on. He talks to somebody and he says, "Do you believe in God?" He goes over to the other guy and he says, "My dad was Catholic and my mom is Hindu, so I believe in a lot of gods." And the director just goes, "You know what? I'll take all the help I can get." I really like that line.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. The
He is this movie does have a lot of good like, all the characters are fleshed out well, but not
Yes.
like it's not to the point of like, "Alright, I don't wanna see this guy anymore. I don't care about this point." Like, we only saw the crew members' family once. We never
Mhm.
see the main character's family or anything like
He
that.
talks about them
Yeah,
a little bit.
his parents, but he's
Yeah.
never like he never even wants to really accept the idea that he's going to be stuck there and die there.
Mhm.
Um, he like even when he tells the commander that if to go back and tell his family like about their time on Mars. And he's
Mhm.
saying like even if I don't die, like whatever, they should know sooner.
Mhm.
But
And
he
that
was
he
more like
died for something big.
yeah, and that he died for like a big cause and he loved his work and all that. Which I don't
Mhm.
know how what does the career track of botany look like where you're now on Mars, you know? Like, what do I have to do at botanist school to get there?
Well, PhD is obviously required, and then what it really comes down to is literally just applying for a smaller job at, well, no, you would have to seek astronaut training, obviously, because that's very
Yeah.
vigorous. What they're specifically looking for is, are you physically fit? Do you have, can you score this high on tests? Um, do you have perseverance? Do you fit the role we need on there and stuff like that? Because remember, we sent a teacher to space once.
He makes that whole trek, he gets his ship ready. um, and just really gets like the thing for oxygen, the water reclamation, and a bunch of solar panels. I think that's really it, right?
Mhm. He does his last, he does his last log on there. That might be one of the only scenes that we had different, and I thought that was really heartfelt. I don't have much to say about it after that. I just think it's weird to cut off his last log on In the Hab, seeing how important that is to the storytelling aspect of this.
I don't remember a big like, all right, signing off, because I remember him talking to the camera in the car while he was
Yeah,
driving.
they have it in the car, but they had a really heartfelt moment where he writes down his last day on the thing, and then he does his little signature. I really enjoyed that part.
Oh yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Yes, that must be the difference, I guess. Was it like 10 minutes long? Or
Yeah, that's the only part, and it's
yeah.
10 minutes long. It's him looking at every part of the hab and going, "I'm gonna miss you guys.
See you, potato. He's just like walking up to inanimate objects,
Potato
like
number 24."
goodbye, cabinet 3, like shit like that, you know, like goodbye,
Uh,
Spongy.
what we especially see during this
His little
part is,
rover dog that he kind of has that he just kind of pets once.
"Goodbye, small little alien."
Goodbye, robot. Goodbye, fungus with arms and eyes.
This is where you find out how skinny he got, though.
Yeah,
God.
it definitely it wasn't a very good. You could tell it wasn't like Matt
Oh,
acting.
I thought it was him. I really did.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't at all. I totally thought it was someone else. Because then he's constantly drying his hair, the entire shot of him walking
mhm.
away with his ass,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when he's at the mirror too, he's still drying his hair, and then it's a different shot, and Matt looks up, and I'm like, dude, it's a
Mm.
different guy.
Yeah, that might be true, but
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying that they did it practically with just, like,
yeah,
a fake actor instead of the Captain America way. That was
yeah.
so weird.
It was weird. I think it's cool in that movie that like
Yeah.
that they tried that, but it
It's cool that they
definitely
tried
wasn't
it, and it's
original.
obvious why.
Yeah. But yeah, I do agree. I'm glad they used a real person instead, but I think you could tell it's a real person, but it's not really bad. It's just part
Yeah.
of it. And so yeah, so Matt gets all that preparation done, and now he's on a strict schedule of like drive 12 hours, recharge for 13, and
Mhm.
just kind of sleep while they're recharging, and then he's
Yep.
doing that for I don't really remember
50
how
days.
50, 50?
Well, sorry, 50 souls, and keep in mind that
Well,
Mars days
whatever,
are
Golden
longer than
Days.
Earth
I
days.
don't care.
Mars days are
I
longer than
don't
Earth
I
days!
don't care.
I'll kill you!
Piss. Yeah, what about that?
I
um,
don't wanna argue in front of these people.
no, not in front of the children. Um, but yeah, so she's on that really strict schedule for a long time. Captain Blondebeard's going across the sea.
Mhm.
And he finally makes it to his whatever to the rocket ship, ditches all the
Yeah.
panels and everything, and Helios is in orbit. And I mean, take us from there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going into orbit around this time. He has calm contact with the entire crew now that they're close enough together. This is the first time he's actually talked to someone in like a,
Over a year.
over a year because he's only been able to text since then.
Hmm.
He hears his crew, and this is when they finally reunite. And as he's going into space, he's experiencing 12 Gs,
Yeah.
and obviously, because of that, he blacks out.
Yeah.
The
You
rest of
passed
the
it out.
We focus a lot on the rest of the crew during this because they have the bigger task, which is, hey, so he's launching here, we're right here. We're not gonna get anywhere near him if we don't fix something. Um, so you see them eject. That you see like all the maneuvers they do to readjust their course, including
Mhm.
this huge one, um, which is where they literally go, "What if we blow up most of the ship so
What
that
if we
we
make a
decelerate?"
bomb? Can you do that? Can you make a bomb?
Yes, I can make a
Like,
bomb.
it was so fast too.
And that was,
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Sebastian Stan, right?
Yeah, that was the guy with the biggest family at the end too, which I thought was kind of off-putting. Like, the
Yeah.
guy with the biggest family knew how to immediately make a bomb with household objects. It was like sugar, Ajax, and, like, stain remover. Like,
Yeah.
that's scary.
Why did you think of that first? Like, that he had a family?
Because that's what I noticed at the end. I'm like, "Dude, this guy's a psycho. He's got a huge family."
It's like a house that Jack built kinda situation.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying. But Yeah, so they blow up the hatch and then shut other ones so that the air leaving through that explosion creates a thruster so that they can then slow down closer
Mhm.
to Matt's speed and try to literally catch him.
Yeah, they readjust, they put more fuel into the thing, but even after that, it's not enough, so when Matt Damon wakes up, uh, he does, a pop culture reference that do you think this it'll get outdated, or do you think it's gonna stay pretty obvious what it means?
I don't Oh, the Iron Man reference?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think that'll get outdated because those movies and how huge they were will be I mean,
Mhm.
our generation alone is gonna carry that. And so I'd say
Okay.
maybe after our kids, it might be lost.
Mm,
But that's even if the character Iron Man isn't revitalized in some way, which is
that's true.
it's a pretty big if.
Yeah,
I mean, he has a Happy Days reference at the beginning with the Fonz. You think
yeah.
half the audience
The
got that?
fonts.
Um,
Well,
eh,
they showed it on TV before, which is a big thing, but yeah, probably not enough people got the
well,
font.
yeah, I'm saying compared to like say Friends or The Office or something, it's not a bigger TV show now.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
But either way, in that scene, I want to go back a little bit. So when
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
is launching and he gets on comms talking to people, this is what I referenced way earlier when we started. Is the emotion he shows in that scene is he's very it's an overflow of emotion for him. He's happy, he's excited, he's scared that he's about to like explode. He just overwhelmed hearing another voice, and we can just see his face completely go red and tear up. And he
Mhm,
smiles, and we can see how yellow his teeth have gotten to this point, and just how like dirty and bruised, and he just looks rough.
mhm.
And just seeing how happy he is while keeping that kind of really calm professional demeanor, I think is really really important to showing you who the character is, because we've never
Yeah,
had that scene is the most emotion we have through the entire movie.
you're right. Gosh, he this was probably I don't know. There's one thing I think he does better at than this movie acting wise, and I think that's Good Will Hunting. And I don't think he's ever gonna peak off of that. But gosh, he was great as an actor in this.
Now I haven't seen Good Will Hunting.
I'd love for you to. It's
It's on
great.
the list for sure. We can probably wham it sometime maybe. Um,
Okay.
but Yeah, I do agree. I think he did amazing in this movie. I really can't think of an actor that would have fit that kind of comedic, but also have those quiet and serious moments as well as he did in
Mhm.
this.
Not Tom Holland.
God, no. Jesus Christ.
This is one of the movies that I think I can point towards to say that Leonardo DiCaprio isn't as good as Matt Damon. This is an argument I have with my mom. Um, I think Matt Damon's a lot better because, uh, I don't know. Leonardo definitely hasn't aged as well as Matt Damon acting ability wise.
I think Matt Damon has done more variety than Leonardo
Mhm.
DiCaprio,
Yeah, I think that's
at
fair.
least in directors. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I think you're right. And then
yeah.
when we go back to Sebastian Stan, when you're talking about him and the bomb, another thing I noticed is that when he was walking around on the Hermes to like set up the bomb, he didn't have any tether.
No, he was just looping around it, and that's a no no.
No, that's
Um,
horrible. So stupid.
and he was also like, "Huh," and he was just like leaping, and that's a horrible idea. Like if he just biffed it a little bit and he just slipped, he's just gone. Like
He's
he's just
gone.
in the void of space.
Surely they have tethers attached if they can like reach
No,
out and they have spacesuits for that. He
no,
was
they
just
do.
like,
Yeah,
it takes too long.
yeah. No, it's like it's a thing where you are constantly attached to the space station in some regard.
Yeah.
So that part wasn't as accurate, but either
Mm-mm,
way,
no.
the mission goes successful. Our character has to Mike, Mark, Matt. Which
Mark.
one is it? Mark. Um, God damn it. He has to Iron Man his way by literally like poking a hole in this glove of his spacesuit and using it
Mhm.
as a thruster to go up to the commander, and then she catches him. They reel him back in. Everyone's all happy.
Yeah.
And then we flash back to Earth, and he's just sitting there all happy, and he's I mean, he's teaching a class, I guess.
Yeah, he's now part of the instructor for application to become a astronaut,
Yeah.
which is really fitting for the man who's been in space the longest, or even to be the only man to be alone on a planet to survive by himself. Every one of those things makes it to where he's the ideal person to be looking for it. I'm just thinking, if I spent that much time in space, I would probably never never like want to be with NASA again. I'd probably find like a nice place to fish and I'd die there.
Yeah, you know how much money he probably got from this? Like, let's be real here.
Imagine the book deals.
He was left on a planet, um, by a, like, oh, whatever, a public body. Um,
Mhm. To be
he's
fair
gotta
though,
go see it out.
he emphasizes over and over again how it's not their fault because like
No, but, like,
his
I think he's
biocom system was
definitely
completely destroyed.
I guess so. I guess he doesn't seem like he's mad about it.
No,
That's
he
that is kinda weird. He doesn't That's true. He doesn't seem like he's mad about it at all. He's really neutral about the entire situation, if I'm honest with you.
well, he definitely wishes he was up there, and when he first gets there, he's literally thinking, "Oh my god," but he doesn't blame anyone, and I wouldn't necessarily either because you can understand that like they were in a life or death situation and they thought he was dead. His entire signal went off. Uh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
like a loser.
One of the big things I liked about this movie was how it plays off of a lot of things that actually happen all the time in NASA.
Yeah,
Two
like that time Matt Damon and the Winter Soldier were in space.
that and then also they talk a lot about how their projected mission lifespans go over all the time. That's like one of the best things about NASA. They plan to have this much time somewhere, but they always can like preserve for longer. Like when I was talking about the Opportunity rover, when I was watching that documentary, it was supposed to last, I think, 3 months, and it ended up lasting 10 years. They're really good at that for overlasting stuff.
Yeah, I guess it is just a fancy RC car, though.
That's true,
It's
but
a really fancy RC car
they just
that YouTuber helped with, probably.
they just really thought that the sand would take longer. They didn't know they were that airtight. And there's just a lot of different things that they did to keep that thing running.
Yeah.
One of the dumb ones was that they realized every time that they turned off the rover to save battery, it would just like forget everything. So
Oh,
to keep the data, they would just keep it on forever.
that's a horrible existence. Jesus. Dude, imagine I want a POV movie of that rover.
And then, oh yeah, another thing I wrote
I'm
down.
shot.
Another thing I wrote down is that we're watching Earth's point of view over this whole event too, because they are just all the comms for this are being sent out to Earth around the globe. So when all this success happens and all of these like risks are being taken, everybody is hearing them do it. What's really weird about that is they said explicitly that it's going to take 12 minutes to it's going to take 12 minutes for all of this to happen just on our time scale. At the same time, Mars is usually 12 light minutes away from us, which means that while they're listening to it, whatever has occurred already happened.
Yeah, so there's really nothing they could do to help even if
Hmm.
they wanted to. It's just it's all in their hands.
Yep.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, so that's really I mean, the only other thing I have to say about the movie is just that idea that they push at the end in his little speech that he makes to the class.
mhm.
It just kind of wraps the movie in just not accept. You don't want to accept defeat if you ever have a problem. You just chip away at it
Yeah.
and just kind of keep working through it until eventually you see the light at the tunnel and you go through. And which is just a really good. It's a really good message for the movie, but I don't know
Mhm.
why they felt the need to put a good message at the end of the movie.
I
I
think
would
it
have just been happy just seeing him on the bench and, like, fade into black. I think I would have been
Yeah, yeah.
fine, but
I get that. For me, it mostly ties up the idea that this is a movie where the enemy is just perseverance, or not the enemy, but just like that's the whole thing. There aren't enemies in this movie. It's a movie where we just accept that all people are good and like have best intentions and are trying to help. The only problem here is logistics, and I really like that about this movie. It's literally just about what can we achieve as humanity?
Yeah.
And I thought the ending sort of puts that into perspective and sort of finalizes that thought.
That's fair. I can see that. But overall, what are you gonna rate this movie, you think?
This is gonna be my second time. I think this is a 5 out of 5. I love this movie. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh. Matt Damon really did incredible. The overall plight that it shows throughout all of this and each step into trying to survive and grab Mark Watney made this movie an incredible experience. And it's one of the few movies in which it being digital helped. Most people talk about how the switch from film to digital made movies look a little bit cheaper, but for obvious reasons, talking about technology, making a movie in space from a digital standpoint makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I can understand that review. I think I'm gonna give it a I'm gonna say a 4.
Nice.
Um, I really enjoyed the movie. There's nothing I can really think of that was like that I'd wanna change at all,
Hmm.
but it's it's not a movie I think I can watch very often
I get that.
because the emotional and the story beats are kinda spaced out, and it is
Hmm.
just it's kind of a slower movie because there's not a
It
ton
is.
happening, but there is in a way.
It's a movie
But
that
I don't think
focuses
that's
on the small things.
yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing though. It's just how it is.
Hmm.
And so because of that, I'm gonna give it a 4, but I do agree it's a very pretty movie. The music that they use, besides the disco music, is used very well.
Oh,
Um,
speaking of that, how'd you feel about the credit song?
that was funny, but
At the very end of this movie, playing off of all the disco that's played so far, the ending song is "I Will Survive."
yeah,
So
it's pretty good.
stupid.
But yeah, so I think this is a solid movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a really good one that like the whole family can watch. Like everyone can watch this movie. You don't have to necessarily be a space nerd to be into this. You can
Yeah, absolutely
understand
not.
the concept of he's stranded on a planet. You can't live on Mars. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Like, so I think it's a really strong movie for just all kind of demographics and everyone to kind
Mhm.
of sit down and watch. And because of that, I'm giving it a 4. And if anyone gives me shit for it, I'm killing you.
We can
That's
arrange for a
going in.
duel that
That's all going in.
if you reach out to our Gmail account, which is in our socials on our link tree, you can
Mhm.
email and you can ask for a duel with Nick. Actually,
Yeah,
I don't think I've checked. I need to check our email probably
we
today.
should probably do that. But yeah, go follow the WAM socials. We post on them whenever there's a new episode, and just on the Twitter, kind of regularly. We're just kind of interacting with other stuff out on there. Or shoot us
Yeah.
an email with any recommendations or movie ideas, or just something you think about the episode. But besides that, do you have any news that you kind of want to go into?
Oh, we
Perhaps.
going in the news?
Do you have news?
I
I
have
don't.
news.
I have none.
Um, one piece of news. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. There's been long talks for a while about his Lando show,
Right.
and how it's going. The original scriptwriter for the show was let off, and he wasn't told until it was released that Donald and his brother Steven are writing the script, and he was a little sad about that. And obviously, it sucks to be hired to do something and get told you're fired through social media. Um,
Damn.
yeah, now the show that's being written by those two is being adapted into a movie instead of a show. And I think
So
that's good, mostly because the shows that's been releasing in Star Wars have low budget and aren't good. They're still
will
high
it be like
budget
a
and
Star Wars story still, or?
yeah, it should just be basically a sequel to Solo.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I
Yeah,
didn't I didn't hate Solo.
I
I
like
didn't
Solo.
I didn't hate it. That was
Yeah,
it.
it was good. I just like more stuff where we're not focusing on Jedi because like it's still
Yeah.
such a great sci-fi universe.
Yeah, the universe is good. I think the movie itself could have done better, but the idea of focusing
Hmm.
on these one characters in individually instead of the whole universe, I like that.
Yeah, and then
And the actor, I thought that actor was pretty good.
he was incredible.
But that movie didn't do well, so he really didn't get a lot of other stuff. But I think whenever I see him, I like what he's in.
He had his retribution in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's what we were talking about before
Yeah,
when we saw
yeah.
him.
Really, that movie doing bad is what Disney to think, okay, we just need to sort of deep fake all of the actors that like can't act it anymore, which is
Yeah.
a horrible choice. I think recasting is always going to be the better move.
Yeah, I mean, because of how long media like, the lifespan of a movie now is so much longer than it used to be, I
Hmm.
think recasting in roles like that is just so much harder. Um,
Yeah.
I guess not really harder for the audience to accept, but more harder for the executive to think like, "Well, this is our legacy character. We have to use our legacy guy,"
Hmm.
kind
Yeah,
of thing. But
that's true.
I really hope in the future we do kinda move towards not necessarily because I wanna see a new actor every movie, but more just because I wanna see more variety in the movies that I see.
Yeah.
I enjoy the actors that are there, but I wanna see more people.
Physical release news.
Oh,
Guillermo del Toro is going to be entering into, or no, sorry, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio movie is going to be
hmm.
entering into the Criterion Collection, and that means it will be getting a physical release. It was originally a Netflix movie. It was really well received. It won Best Animated Movie at the Oscars. It was beautiful. Um,
What makes it not like, what makes a movie from streaming get to be does it have to be Criterion to get the format? Like a physical
no,
release?
no, it's
Because
just
I was gonna say
usually
the movie Paint also had a physical release, so, uh
was Paint a digital original?
yeah, it was a Apple TV original.
Oh my god.
I'm
Ugh.
pretty sure.
What's weird is, I saw that with, Fonz PR, which is supposed to be promoting these movies, and I'm watching another Fonz PR movie today, Dumb Money. I was supposed to watch it
Mm.
last week. Well, no, I said I was gonna watch it last week, but I got the date wrong, so I
So
went all
so
the
you're
way to
so
the
you're a liar.
theater. I went all the way to the theater, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm here through the event." They're like, "There's no event."
That sucks. That blows.
Um,
Was it
uh,
far? Like, did you
it
get
was
it?
it was a 20-minute bus ride.
Aw, that
Uh
kinda blows, but at least the bus is free, so
Yeah, it was
yeah.
free, that's cool. Yeah, we have 2 new movies coming out that both look really interesting.
Mm.
First one is Dream Scenario. Do you know anything about this?
No, I don't.
It's
What is it?
releasing, November 10th. It stars Nicolas Cage. The plot is that people notice that like, everyone on Earth notices that they've had a dream about him, and he becomes a celebrity because he just is a character that everyone has seen in their dreams. But the problem with that is people then assume that he's like what they're like in his dreams, in their dreams.
That's kind of I don't know how that's gonna play into a movie, but that's a cool concept.
It's a decent concept. He looks like he's
Yeah.
playing a new character, a grounded character in this, and the world around him is crazy, which I thought was really interesting for Nicolas Cage to put on.
Yeah, because he's, Nicolas Cage wearing that pink leather bedazzled jacket with tassels. That wasn't even a bit, he just wore that. He had
He
matching
just
pants,
liked it.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Second movie that's up is probably the weirdest pick for like a rom-com, or it's not a rom-com, but it does feature a couple. The couple is Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder from Nathan for You.
What? That's so weird.
It's called The Curse. The synopsis is the series follows a curse that disturbs a newly married couple as they try to conceive a child while co-starring on their new HGTV show.
That's
HGTV being the home network.
yeah, that's cool.
It's
That's
it's
kinda neat,
yeah, it seems like Nathan Fielder is getting more and more money to have his sort of absurdist ideas, and he's now getting people like Emma Stone to be a part of it, and Emma
'cause
Stone is a great
he's
actress.
so dry too, which is why I think it sells
Mhm, it's such a great niche for him to fill.
with really good grades.
Mhm.
Mm,
Did
that
you
that
ever watch The Rehearsal?
yeah, I did watch The Rehearsal. I thought it was okay.
Mm. I,
I
uh,
didn't think it was as strong as Nathan For You.
I I think it's a different area completely just because it tries to see itself as more of a serialized plot, but
Yeah,
oh my gosh, it I didn't like it as much as A for You just because I was going in with a little bit more comedy, but god, was it devastating to watch.
but yeah, do you have any movie recs or games, I guess, that you wanna specifically recommend this week?
Um, I don't I've started playing Cyberpunk. I'll figure out if I like it or not as I go through it. Movie-wise, I started watching a little bit of The Conversation, starring Gene Hackman and Harrison Ford. Really good time, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Really boring movie, but how they started off, the music in it, and just the concept in general has a lot that sort of helps it out. What about you?
I mean, what I'm playing the most right now is just a lot of Elden Ring because I think there's new DLC that's gonna come out soon or something
Yeah.
like that for it. So I've never finished the game. So I'm just finally going through it and finishing it, and just like the landscapes and everything in that are so good and so cool, and the music's so great.
Mm.
But whatever, Elden Ring's great. And then for my movie, I'm gonna say The Hateful Eight. Um,
Yes.
is that the Tarantino one, right?
Yes, it is. Well,
Yeah.
it depends on if you're thinking of there's a few of those movies he's made.
Well, yeah. I was just trying to at the time there was like 4 or 5 of those like number and then like
Yeah, the
moniker cowboy movies.
yeah, like the Vengeful Seven or whatever.
Yeah, or the Series Six or whatever the fuck. I don't know. The Sinister Six were in Spider Man. They were there probably.
It was a
Um,
countdown.
but yeah, there was a lot. I don't know why there were so many. It was so stupid too. But whatever. Um, yeah, that's my Rex.
Yeah. Uh, on Thursday, I'm gonna be, on the red carpet for Fantastic Fest here in Austin. I'm gonna be interviewing the producer and director for The Toxic Avenger. I'll let you know how it goes. Um, yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, this has
Yeah.
been Wham. Thank you
You
for listening.
yeah, you've been whammed. Very long wham.
Long Wham today.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Long and strong. Um,
Long and oblong.
like a cock.